Peace, peace. Abargani, Islam, Salam, Hetepu, Rahubat, Gino Lako Nani, Chief Noble Bandele, Elamine back in the building. All right. And so today we're going to be discussing the title is The Frontal Attack of Feminism. So we'll be talking about the 4B movement and the Kamala effect on all of this. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the 4B movement, but it is something that is being discussed a lot on social media right now. So we're going to delve into that. All right. But before we get into any of that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please share, share, share. All right. Um, with that being said, I'm going to hit you with another ad. Yes, knowledge is for the people. Get your books today on indigenous.moors.org, your one-stop shop for indigenous needs. All right. And yes, you can go get our books on indigenous.moors.org, or you can also get a lot of these books on Amazon. And so because of today's topic, I'm showing our book right here. This is a great book I wrote earlier this year. Please go check it out. It's called Navigating Melanated Love and Relationships in the Modern Era. Okay, so I use the wisdom and the input from various melanated scholars and people of influence within our, melanated society. So I have thoughts from Malcolm X or Amos Wilson. I have, Kevin Samuels, or even Francis Cress Welsing. Okay, so I have them and many more people's understanding and idea of what's going on in the melanated world when it dealing with relationships, coming from their perspectives, right? So I think it's be a good book, and it also, may show in some of the input and what's going on today with the attack of feminism, okay, and even where we're going in relationships, okay, because what we're going to discuss today is going to be very eye-opening on what's going on in not just in the United States, but really in the world. So you really need to take heed to this, okay? So, and before we get into that, also check out, since we're getting close to Misgivings Day, what we call Thanksgiving, please go check out one of my older videos called The Moorish Origins of Thanksgiving, all right? So it'll give you a very eye-opening perspective, especially from a Moorish perspective, okay? So with all that being said, let's get into this, all right? So like I said, we're going to be talking about really the 4B movement, okay? And when you understand what the 4B movement is and how it's come into play through in America through the politics of America has caused, a lot of the women to feel, I guess, a certain way. And so this is the reaction to the elections, okay? And this 4B, don't get it twisted, y'all. This is a feminist movement. So before we get into this 4B, right, I just want to give you guys some feedback on feminism so we can be up on our thing, right? So let's look at feminism. So I got an article here. It says the feminist movement has changed drastically. Here's what the movement looks like today, okay? Because we've heard of the feminist movement. We even know, back in the 50s, 60s, the movement of feminism started. But what's going on today, right? So let's look at this. Now let's look at their perspective. Okay, it's saying feminism, the first wave of which began with the suffrage movement in the mid 1800s. So it looks vastly different today than it did generations ago. So even like in the mid 1800s, we have like the sprouting of feminism. So it says thanks to the use of technology in activism, the adoption of alternative feminist philosophies into the mainstream, and more. Feminists say that modern movement is defined by its intersectionality. So, and I was going into today, feminists told ABC News that their fight for the benefit of everyone, of all genders, races, and more, led by a diverse set of voices to pave the way for gender equality worldwide in the fourth wave of feminism. So this article is 2023, and they're talking about this is the fourth wave of feminism. So let's just understand that this what we're into now with the 4B movement. Okay, the 4B movement is part of, I want to say, either that fourth wave of feminism. Okay, so it says, what is modern feminism defined by? So feminism is a brief in the brief, I mean, in the belief in the inequality of people. So it is feminism. Feminism is the belief in the equality of people of all genders, a set of values aimed at dismantling gender inequality and the structures that uphold it. So, I mean, when you hear that, when you listen to that, that sounds pretty normal, I guess you would say. Like, I mean, just to bring equality to genders. Now, I'm a side note. In traditional societies, genders usually play different roles in society. So to compare them is not really doing justice to what their role is in society. So, for example, if your role is to produce children or to, do these things like that, would you have the same standard with something that does not necessarily give life? There's different standards, there's different places, obviously, even in nature, right? But I digress. So, what I'm going to get it, so let's keep going. So, it says that these inequalities could pay inequality, could be a pay inequality, gender based health care inaccessibility, rigid social expectations, or gender based violence will still impact people everywhere to this day. Feminists say, okay. So it says in recent decades, the movement has begun to proactively include and uplift the voices of people who have typically been left out of the past mainstream feminist movements. These include women of color as well as gender and diverse people. Okay, so let's look at that. While we do that, let me go to my situation. All right, so when we're talking about, just gonna put this up here. So I have up here about the movement of 4B, but so I'm gonna get into that. But let's get back to what we're discussing. It says that our gender, our race, disability, class, sexuality, and more, all of these pieces of ourselves generate different lived experiences and also help us understand that no one of us is just one thing. The inclusive vision is to empower an integral part of feminism. So, we see that feminism is very alive and well. Okay, modern feminism. Okay, so let's look at this. Modern feminism co-ops the ideals of black and queer feminist theories, activists say, in that it understands how the issues of gender, race, and sexuality are all connected. So let's take that in. Feminists co-ops the ideas of black and queer feminist theories. Let's take that in. Let's take that in. So what we're talking about in the modern movement, we're talking about, we're talking about the uh, LBGTQ community in some regards. Their their cry or theories are being infused with feminism now. Okay, so are feminists taking on the side of the gay and lesbian in them community? Are they formulating with them? Are there relations to feminists and the LBGTQ community? I just want you guys to take that in. So now it says that uplifting the most marginalized groups of society will lead to wins for the overall advancement of gender equality worldwide. So that's what they're saying, right? So they're okay. So let's look. Mainstream feminism has not always been inclusive. For example, the suffrage movement and the teachings of it focus on white women and their right to vote. National Organization of Women President Christian Nunes told ABC News that black suffragists who helped win the passage of the 19th Amendment were erased by white suffrage movement in history books. Okay, so let's look at this. The feminist movement in America is a predominantly white Christian, probably movement, right? But definitely white women movement. They have used other ethnicities to help their movement. So, for example, we've got melanated, so-called black women who have taken on these traits even today, which we'll look at that as well. We're going to look at like how all this is playing a part because we've got the 4B movement, but then we also have the women who are independent women who also are taking some of the philosophies of feminism. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so she continued. Let me talk. It says so. Even though there are women of color who were very instrumental in these movements and shifting it and making sure that these rights were won, they were not talked about. They're not mentioned. They were unsung heroes. And it says she continues. The fourth wave release focuses on how do we be inclusive? How we use allies? How do we really focus on true equality for all women? Because we know other ways of feminism have left women out. So, in this, what we call fourth wave of feminism, it's going to be more inclusive to other women of ethnicities, right? So, they're saying that they're looking for black women to, you know, become part of the movement again and to, we're going to focus more on their needs and their strides into being equal, having equality. So it says that in the US, the Women's March and the racial reckoning of 2020 are two movements in which feminists played a major role. So it says, now listen to this. We're seeing women represented in so many different places, hold so many different levels of power that weren't that we haven't ever seen. It says pointing to the achievements of this is where I want to go. I'm glad that they talk about this because we're talking about it says pointing to the achievements of Vice President Kamala Harris and the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, I do want to make a statement. Just stop there. These two women have advanced the movement, but it's interesting that both Ketanji and Kamala both have husbands that are of another race. So they have what we call white or Jewish Ashkenazi white um, husband. Okay, so both of these women are melanated women, which are both being projected as black. Well, we know Ketanji Brown. She sounds like, look, Ketanji Brown Jackson. That sounds like some black, right? But Kamala was portrayed as black, but she's melanated nonetheless. But being representing black, they're both married to white men. Okay, but I digress. Once again, it says that we're seeing women leaders, seeing women scholars, right? We're seeing more activists. So I want you to take this in too. Now let me go back to Kamala real quick because Kamala is the bridge to what we're going to be talking about with 4D. So if you guys stay with me, please stay with me. Okay. Kamala is the key into this 4D movement. Kamala, they're already telling you, pointing to these achievements of these women. But Kamala was going to be she was supposed to kick off the next phase of the movement. Okay. And she does. Even if she didn't win, she still does. So, all right, I'm going to read just a little bit more on this and we can move on. It says, so how much further does feminism have to go? In recent years, the U.S. have faced a wave of laws restricting reproductive health care. So now let's get into the nitty. Okay, the whole issue we've been discussing in this election, what's become a major topic in the election, was reproductive health care. Okay, and then they snuck in here. See, feminism, they snuck in transgender health care because what is it? You got men who would want to be women. And if they become women, then they're going to take on the suffrage that women have to take on, right? So it says that transgender healthcare and restricting reproductive healthcare and certain curriculum in education, laws restricting voting rights and more. So they're scaring them. These tactics of scaring. Now, I'm going to tell you, ABC, would you guys agree with me or not that it's more of a left news source? So understand that even when I'm giving you these news sources or these sources, some of these are from left, some of these are from right. So we take what we can from them. But understand, ABC News is a leftist. Okay, they're lefties. So now it says, let's see, it says that those have been seen as setbacks among feminist activists who argue that these laws create a patriarchal world. So they say they believe that these laws support a world where white men are in control, okay? Where the history that's told is upholding the history and the legacies of white men, and also where white men are able to control who is elected and who is not. This is important because Donald Trump plays a very pivotal role in that he's a man who is deemed as a sexist, or he's been labeled, misogynistic, I should say, that he is against the further advancement of women. This is how he's portrayed. Okay. So I just want you to check that out. We're not going to go far into it, but it says that the majority of Americans, 64%, say feminism is empowering, and 42% say it's inclusive. However, 45% say it is polarizing, and 30% say it's outdated. So let's just look at that. The majority of Americans, 64%, say that feminism is empowering. So let's take that with us. Okay. Let's take that with us to what we're going to get into tonight. So let's look at this. We're going to talk about the 4B movement because I know you guys are like, what the hell is the 4B movement? Some of y'all might have heard a little bit about it. Like I said, it's been on social media for the past, I don't know. I've noticed it in the past week or two, couple weeks. At least this a couple weeks that I've noticed it. But I know that it has been brewing for a little bit longer. So let's look at this. Here is what the 4B movement is and why women are talking about it after Trump reelection. Here's why some women say that they will abstain from sex for the next 4 years. Okay. So let's okay, y'all. Let's jump into this. So it says that with Trump poised for another term, some women are rethinking the path laid out for them, rejecting age-old expectations of marriage and motherhood in favor of a future they control. So let's enter the 4B movement. It is a social movement advocating for women to avoid marriage, reproduction, dating, and even close friendship with men. Okay? It said, now listen, it says originating in South Korea as an anti patriarchal stance. It has recently gained traction in the US following Donald Trump's reelection. Okay, so this is something that we're seeing, spike now just shortly after Donald Trump was reelected. Okay, so it says that with many women drawn to the 4B principles in reaction to the social and political trends they view as regressive. The movement argues that mainstream expectations regarding relationships often put women in subordinate roles. Now, I want to stop there because, like I said, this is something that's been brewing in the United States for some time. Okay, where they're saying that, women and being submissive, that is something that a lot of women in today's time in America, particularly, are kind of really against. They're against being submissive. So when we talk about submissiveness, and then they're talking in this article about subordinate roles. Okay, so they're both, feminist ideology. So it says both in their personal and professional lives. This is by rejecting traditional relationships with men. Proponents of the 4B movement aim to empower women to prioritize their own needs. The key word, independence, and well-being without the societal pressure to conform to conventional gender roles. So do you see the 4B movement? Doesn't it sound like it's part of the feminist movement? Of course it does. So let's look at this. So what are the 4Bs, right? So because that was my thought. I'm like, what's the 4Bs? What do 4Bs stand for? Being that this is Korean, right? This comes from Korea. So let's look at what they're saying. The 4Bs. The first one is no marriage, which is pronounced, I guess, would be Bihan or Bihon. It says it advocates believe marriage often limits a woman's independence as it traditionally assigns her a role of caregiver and homemaker. That right there, that's a a strike against traditional family, right? Having having a traditional family, meaning having a mother and a father and mother and children, right? That's the traditional household. So the 4B movement wants to destroy that by destroying marriage. Well, I mean, they're already doing that. They're not getting married now. But this is what they're saying. They're saying, and they already want to be independent, right? So they're already doing this. No childbearing. Now, this is where it gets something. Now, because we have been dealing with pro life or pro choice, that um, being that Trump won, I think that the liberals and the progressive movement, you should say, are are seeing that as a strike against not just reproductive rights, but the fact of pro-choice. Okay, that's the old school term, pro-choice. So Trump being elected in the office is against pro-choice. So because they think that Trump is against women's rights, that they're against their right to choose to have a child or not, that they're going to protest and say no childbearing, which is the second B. Now I don't know how to pronounce this, y'all, but I'm gonna chop it up. I'm probably gonna screw it up, but it's called bitchulusan, bitchulasan, and it says that this principle opposes the societal expectation, okay, for women to bear and raise children, arguing that motherhood can trap women in lifelong caregiving roles. Okay, y'all hear this? Y'all hear this? I'm reading it. All right. No dating is okay. Next one, no dating, which it looks like this one's called Beyonce, which is the third B. Is no dating. So the movement views dating as reinforcing male-centered dating norms. So they're saying that dating is a masculine trait. It's male centered. Don't do it anymore. Okay? They're saying that the pressures that can compromise a woman's autonomy and emotional well-being. So no dating because it could take away a woman's autonomy. If y'all hearing what I'm saying so far, smash the like button. If y'all like what is like what's going on, please subscribe, okay? But I want y'all to hear what's going on. So let's look at the fourth one. It says no close relationship with men. This is the last one, which is Bione. Okay, the other one's Bione. This one's Bione, I guess, right? Like I said, I don't know if I'm saying them right, but it says that the movement encourages women to form supportive, empowering friendships with other women rather than depend on male companionship. So they want an Amazons, right? They want a society of all women. Because think about it, y'all. If this is the case, this is very feminist. May I add, in my opinion, sounds very feminist, and the reason why is because they're advocating for not to have children. So, you know, what does that mean for them? What does that mean for society? Because society itself is already having issues with childbearing, like the populate the rate, the ratio of children being born versus, you know what I'm saying, is low, and it's low in many countries. So one of the things that is probably going to take place is technology, the ability to just have children through going to a clinic, or not a clinic, but like let's say you go to like this is futuristic, y'all. Like, but you'll be able to go and just choose a child, and they'll incubate the child and have the child born, and you just have a child. So anybody will be able to have a child. Nobody, it won't be just to a gender. So what you're seeing is that that's what they're playing into. They're playing into uh, non-gender roles, which to me also goes into the LGBTQ community, because a lot of them want to blend gender. You've got the him, her, gender words where you don't even want to be not non-binary. So all this non-binary and all these things all play a part in feminism. Okay, so just don't think that the LGBTQ community is just solely on its own. It does have a lot of feminist, philosophy in it. But not to get off track, but this 4B movement is deep. So it says that the rise of the 4B movement in the U.S. comes at a time when more women are waking up to issues like gender equality and the erosion of women's rights. So debates about reproductive freedoms, pay inequality, and work-life balance are pushing many women to embrace the 4B mindset as a way to protect themselves and stand up for what they believe in. You hear that? The 4B movement core values resonate with similar movements globally. So listen to what this is saying, that this 4B movement is not just here in America or Korea. Okay. Listen, it says that it's globally. So where women in different societies are rethinking traditional gender roles. So people that know, like in Japan, many women have begun to reject traditional marriages in favor of single life and career independence. Now I want y'all to understand something. Y'all can check this, but Japan has asked they'll pay $70,000 for melanated or African men to reproduce in Japan. Y'all go check that out. Go check it out. All right. So it says that um it says it's giving rise to the term. I'm not sure how to say this. Or Thitoria. Oh, I don't know. Oetorisama. Oetorosama, I guess, or the art of doing things alone. It says similarly in China, I should say China. It says that leftover women is a term. Is a term. Oh my goodness, is a term used for educated single women in their late 20s and beyond. So a woman in their late 20s is considered leftover. It says, and they are resisting social pressure to marry, pushing back against cultural expectations in favor of personal growth and career achievements. So more, and this is not new to us. Women have been doing this in America, as far as like they've sacrificed, having a family for the sake of a career. We in the melanated so-called black community, we tell the women to be don't depend on any man, and to go to school and get you a good job. So these things are correlating with melanated people, black people, and the 4B movement and feminism in general. All do relate to the relationships that melanated people are having today. So it's becoming more and more difficult to have relationships and have long lasting relationships because of the shifting powers. Okay. So let me go. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me go. Let's go. Let's go. Uh, so I say 4B is a feminist movement. So now that we've read 4B, or we read on some of it, I'm not done. I'm not even done with y'all. I'm gonna bring this to y'all. But 4B is a feminist movement. You see the 4Bs, what they stand for, and it sounds feminist to me. Now I'm not trying to hate on any women or anything, but it sounds feminist, right? So all right, so let's go to just to add to that. All right, let me just add. So just to back up that statement, just to back up that article, okay, just to show you where this is going. It says this article, let's see, it's from NPR. Okay, so we're NPR. It says boycott men. South Korea 4B movement gains traction in the U.S. after Trump's win. November 8th, 2024. This is a recent article. See, and this is something recent. This, like I said, the movement, the Trump movement, if you will, the evolution of Trump is in a direct line against the movement that they're trying to push on us. Okay. Now, let me digress for a minute. But what I'm saying to you is that if you read book Behold the Pale Horse, okay, by Bill Cooper, William Cooper, right? Read that book. I read that book years ago, and what it stated was that there was going to be a time when, um, what they call homosexuality or gay or whatever, these people will become more prominent in society. Now, I read this book in the '90s, and I didn't understand what he was saying. I'm like, looking at society in 1990s, it was very phobia. It was very transphobia, if you want to say. But you know, it was not. Um, it wasn't something that we allowed, in society. It slowly was creeping in. Like in the '90s, you start to see maybe like Ellen or like maybe a show. It was maybe a show or two that even talked about it, but it was very scarce in the '90s. So I couldn't see what they were talking about in this book, but he was saying that it was going to change and that it was going to be very like homosexuals, and it was going to be a lot of uh, different movements in that way. And we look at today, this is very much what we have, right? We have the movement, and so it's been getting momentum. But where is it coming from? Based on that book, Behold the Pale Horse, these were things that the power structure was pushing their agenda. So there's an agenda to, create this movement of non-gender. Okay, this whole movement to change and make things non-gender. With that being said, we got Trump, who stands for traditional values, right? He comes in and wins. So in a sense, it's like he's setting back the non-gender movement that was put in place by, I say to me, the power elite. Okay. The power elite are looking to do these things. Okay. But I digress, and I'm not going to go too much into that. But I wanted to break that down to you. So it says that the following President-elect Trump's victory, which was fueled by, it says, male voters, and to many looked like a referendum of productive rights. Some young American women are talking about boycotting men. So we saw that, Trump um, had an overwhelming amount of what we call white men, and he had a larger amount of black men that voted for him as well, so-called black men, right? Um, so even though Trump won like overwhelmingly. I mean, like it was so red on the screen. I mean, the whole United States was damn near red, right? But they want to blame men for the election. Okay, to me, I think that's a cop out, but I'm not going to get into that at this moment. What we're going to look at is say that the idea comes from a Korean movement, okay? The four no's. So the 4B movement, I want you to understand. So when we say the 4B movement, we're basically saying the four no's. The four no's that women are going to take a vow to. So it says that the interest in the 4B movement has surged in the days since the election. Google search spiking and hashtag taking off on social media. Scores of young women are exploring and promoting the idea in posts in platforms like TikTok and X, which we're going to look at that. It says that I think it's time for American women to participate in our 4B movement. One woman posted in TikTok, if men won't respect our bodies, they don't get access to our bodies. So the idea is that with Trump being elected, that the America has spoken against women. That's basically what is being said. America has spoken against the women movement. They have spoken against feminism, and they're putting it in its place. And I think women are not happy about that. But putting it in its place is not saying that they are taking away women's rights or that they are against women. Okay. This is the propaganda that's being spread by the feminist movement in order to use that as against Trump or just against the American people, against society, if you will. Okay. It's not just Trump. Trump was the catalyst, but it's not just Trump. It was something that's been boiling. Okay. It's been boiling for some time. So it says that, ladies, we need to start considering the 4B movement. Like the women in South Korea, the American women are severely sharp birth rate decline. You see what I'm saying? It says there is already a sharp birth rate decline. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to digress a little bit. But I know that the power elite has always been trying to figure out how to control the population. So I'm not saying that the feminist movement necessarily is working with the power elite, but is it perhaps, just for you to think, is the power elite using the feminist movement to further their goal of depopulation? I just want you to think about that, okay? I'm dropping these Jews on y'all. So it says that it's time to close off our wombs to males. Even though we're in a decline birth rate, this is the time to close off your wombs to males. Okay? Several recent tweets from the far right men with large social media following would seem to illustrate the point. Okay? So we got that. I just want to show you. I'm just reaffirming this. So let us move forward. Let us move forward. My last, well, I'm not going to show this article. Let's go into this. I want to show you. You guys if you guys don't believe what I'm saying, right? You guys don't believe what I'm saying. I want you to look at what these women are saying out their mouth. Okay, look at this TikTok video.
Donald Trump is president, and I think all women should stop having sex for the next 4 years.
For the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men.
I want the men in this country to know that half the female population, we're dry.
It's a celebration. Donald Trump is president, and I think
All right. So look, so that's just one thought on this, right? So, and you see, I showed you first of all a melanated woman. First of all, the melanated so-called black women are very upset because to them, a vote for Trump was a vote against what they say is a so-called black woman. Now, personally, it's been all over, social media that, we don't look at Kamala or Kamala as a black woman. She's a melanated woman. She has Indian melanation blood, and she has a small part of Jamaican um, black blood. But her her overall appearance and how she conducts herself is not based off of what we call so-called black. Okay, so I think the people have already, made their choice with how they see her. There's a video talking about make Kamala Indian again. So I think people, were judging that, but the so-called black women are were very attached to this. They really voted for her to. It was if anybody, if anybody voted for Kamala, it was the so-called black woman. Okay, so just to be fair, so let's look at this one. Okay, so let's look at this one.
I'm not going to be dating.
Hit it.
Nope. No men for me. Don't want them. Don't want them at all. No dating. No sex. None. 4B movement in full effect.
It's here, y'all.
And if you voted for Trump,
Hit it.
don't fucking talk to me. Oh, comment, do your thing, Oh, love, you guys were all about love and tolerance. Who told you that? Who said that? Because I can tell you I'm not feeling loving or tolerant. So you could say that because it's the truth. I'm not going to deny you. I'm not going to.
Okay, so this is showing you like this is a TikTok video. Um, it's not just sisters. It's also white women. Um, Probably predominantly white women. And the minorities tend to follow their lead, but they are really pushing this movement. So you guys, we're going to see a very interesting 4 years when it comes to women. Like I said, this right here was like Trump was the last stand for the traditional ways. Okay, to Trump is going to have to establish these traditional ways, and I think that he's the last one to do it, and so it's going to last for a little bit longer than what was planned because, like we said, with Kamala, Biden, and the liberal progressives, they were pushing an agenda, and they are pushing an agenda that is inclusive to non-binary and non-gender and the ability to switch genders and these things. This is coming from the left. It's coming from the left. Okay. So I want to show this video just to wrap it up, just to show you where this is coming, because it's this whole thing that's going on with women and their masculine energy. There's a rise of masculine energy. Okay. So I want that to be understood. I want to say this too. Women see the election as anti-feminine. Okay. Women see the election as anti-feminine. This, and I believe that, with Trump becoming the president-elect, that this was the perfect time for the frontal attack of feminism. We're seeing an outright attack against men in the open, and it seems to be justified. So the society, aka the media, social media included, is allowing the attack. They feel the attack is justified. Okay. They're using Trump as that scapegoat. Uh, this is the Kamala effect. Okay, the Kamala effect. Even though Kamala lost, but it has sparked a bigger controversy among the American people. Now, because now we've got to deal with the inclusion of women where it was kind of looked at as bad. Like women were being masculine, and it's been looked at as negative. But now that Trump is in office, to them it's a justification that we have to be this way because we're being attacked. Our reproductive rights are being attacked. The ability to become non-binary has been threatened. Now, y'all tell me, how many of y'all out here really judge yourself based on non-gender? I just want to know in the comments. And like I say, I'm not trying to get at anybody. I know I'm gonna have people coming in here in the comment section, talking this and that. I mean, I'm not trying to go against anybody, but I'm just saying. So let's just look at this, okay? Because the truth of the matter is that the energy in the world it's becoming more feminine. Okay, that's what they're supposed to say. It's becoming more feminine. The fact that when you look from, I don't know, if you look 20 years ago, you'll see a more masculine energy. Now, I'll tell you something. The fact that society, like the food we eat, the foods that we're eating are creating receptacles of more feminine energy. They're turning more men feminine. Okay, more women are becoming more masculine. I think that they're trying to come to a head. So you're going to have masculine and feminine all come together at that point. So at that point, you're a non-gender. So you won't be classified. You won't be looked at. You won't feel like you're a man or a woman. You'll be a non-gender. I think this is like what they want the future to see or look like. Okay. So I just corrected. The energy in the world is becoming more feminine. We can tell because not just what's happening now, but like what happened with this would not have happened, 10, 12, 10, 15 years ago. Even with, let's say, even with Hillary Clinton. When Hillary Clinton was defeated by Trump, the rhetoric about this whole thing was not there. There was no 4B movement. There was very little talk that it was because Hillary was a woman. Not saying that it wasn't spoke about, but it was less rhetoric and talk about it. Okay, so what we're seeing now is a push. To push the agenda. The agenda of a non-gender society is being threatened by the presidency. He has already come out and spoke and said that he was going to reverse a lot of the Biden policies on, allowing genders to cross genders to go into different sports. So, you got a man who becomes a trans woman, he can go into sports, right? We talked about this. I mean, you've heard it, but that's the agenda. Okay, so let me click on this. Let's look at this video. This video right here is
with the woman that looks like she's screaming.
I would love for you to do that one. Oh no, okay. Israel?
Men want a traditional woman, but they don't want to be a traditional man. So you want a woman to come home from a job, just like you did, clean, cook, do the laundry, take care of the kids, and you guys are both going to work. Do you see how that don't make sense?
No, it does make sense. And yes, I do want you to do that.
Are you delusional?
No.
So you're telling me that a woman has to go work like a man every day, and a man goes work, and he's tired when he gets home. A woman's not tired. She has to clean, cook, do the dishes, do the laundry. Are you kidding me?
First of all, I just want you to understand that yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. It's just a sign of frustration and the inability to articulate in a respectful way and make a valid point. It's a sign of low intelligence.
Honestly, this is what I think. I think that what the woman is saying is valuable, and it is a prime example of how a woman in her masculine energy will not get the job done as easy as a woman in her feminine energy. Had she had said, because her point is valid, had she have said, you want to talk about 50-50, if I were to say, let's say you're my man, and I have a simple conversation, and I were to say, baby, I am so tired. I feel like I go to work and I work all day, and then I come home and I want to make sure that you feel like the amazing man that you are, and that our kids have the amazing mother and father that they have. But it is really hard for me to give 100% at work and then come home and feel like I have no break. What can we do?
With the woman that looks like she's screaming.
I would love for you to do that one. Oh no, okay. Israel?
all right. So I want you, like, listen, when we look at this video, okay, I think this video, expresses a lot of what we're seeing with women. That women are saying that the traditional values, they're no longer wanting to do the traditional values of what they call women. They feel like those roles that they were placed in are very demeaning in a sense, or that they've outgrown the gender role. And my thing is that where are we going as a society when the women are no longer wanting to take on their roles, and when men don't want to take on their roles? Because this is not just about men or it's not just about women, it's about men, because men are losing their masculinity. And so because the men are losing their masculinity, meaning they're losing their testosterone, the foods that are being sold here, particularly in America, are like destroying men's testosterone. Okay. My thing is this: is this all part of a bigger plot or plan, into creating the non-gender role? Because if you're feeding us the foods, or if the plastic in the BPA or plastics in your car or in your containers or wherever, if these things are giving off chemicals that are destroying testosterone or changing the chromosomes, okay, in animals or even humans, then do they not know? Do the companies, corporations, do they not know this? And do they care? The point is, that to me, it seems that they don't care, and that they continue to do what they do. Makes me believe that they do have an agenda, right? And that they are pushing for this agenda. So what we're seeing now with the 4B movement, we're seeing this movement kicking in their gears, if you will. They're kicking in the gear to become a bigger threat in society and to actually, to change society once more. We're already changing. Like I said, me being, me being my age I am, I've been able to see the progressive change in men, women, and the the way we identify ourselves as these things. I've seen the change, being brought by the government by allowing, marriages to change. We're able to marry, same sex. So these things have allowed the particular people to grow momentum. And so now in 2024, we're at the point where, these women say that they're not going to do anything traditional. They're not into men anymore. Now, I'm going to tell you something. It reminds me of the men when you got the, what's it called? When men go their own way. Men going their own way. What they call MGTOW, MGTOW. The MGTOW movement that kind of started, I don't know, I'm going to say, probably 10 years ago or so. That MGTOW movement, does that have a part? Does that play a play in what's going on today? Right? I'm going to put this in the banner. The MGTOW. If y'all ain't heard of that, which I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Right? Let's look at that. I think it's MGTOW. I think that's how you do it. But, when we're men, we're like, I'm done with women and I'm not dealing with them no more because of what they've done to me and how they treated us. The fact that women have more rights. See, the thing about it is women seem to have been having more rights when it comes to children, when it comes to divorce, when it comes to the family court. They tend to have a lot more an advantage. Especially when you're talking about divorce and when the children are going to go, because once a woman is divorced, she becomes the custodial parent and things of that nature. So with the MGTOW movement coming in, like a decade ago, now we're having the 4B movement, which is to me almost like the answer to the MGTOW. So I want you guys to, please, let's have a discussion about this, right? And leave all your comments, right? Leave your comments so we can just have a true discussion about this, because this is a very serious thing and I want you guys to know. All right. So I do appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe once again, and please check out our other videos. And I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna hit y'all with another ad before I get out.